Here's a tip. When hell knocks on your door, maybe don't answer it. Remember when I told you about the Real Ghostbusters syndicated episodes? Well, this is the first one. Knock Knock. This is a story that often pops up on best of Real Ghostbusters episodes lists, and it's mostly about this hellmouth that's not supposed to open until the end of the world, you know, like real apocalypse, end of days stuff. And that's a cool story, but if you ask me, that's not what makes this episode interesting or important. As the first syndicated episode of the show, Knock Knock had to serve as the second introduction to the series, kind of acting as a starting point for kids that were just tuning in that didn't see the show on its network episodes. That sounds like a tall order, but this episode actually does a better job of it than the show's actual first episode. I mean, it's really concise. A short opening scene shows the Ghostbusters taking down some poltergeist in a bowling alley, followed by two more brief asides. One to explain why a ghost-like Slimer is living with the Ghostbusters.
Just let me blast them once.
Not yet. We haven't finished testing him, and he's the only ghost who'll sit still for us. We can't let this opportunity for science pass us by.
And besides, I'm teaching him how to fetch.
And another telling the viewers what the team does with the spirits that they catch. You know, put them in the containment unit.
Works every time.
With that, we know everything we need to know about the team. These guys catch ghosts, study and keep nice ghosts, or at least one of them, and store the nasty ones in the containment unit. That's it. The Ghostbusters. Simple.
I think they like us. I don't know. It could be a trap.
With that out of the way, let's move on to the real episode. A team of construction workers come across a mysterious door while drilling a new subway tunnel. Being idiots, they ignore the terrifying talking doorway's advice.
Do not open until doomsday.
We've got a subway tunnel to dig. We're not gonna stop just cause some nut door says so.
Okay, technically they don't actually open the door themselves, but the threat of being drilled seems to be enough. The door opens itself and unleashes the energies of hell or something on the city of New York. It possesses the subway system, it brings trains and advertisements and all sorts of stuff to life.
It's like the whole place itself is becoming evil, coming alive. Boy, this is great!
I love a man who enjoys his work.
To put it succinctly, there's something weird in the neighborhood, and they called the Ghostbusters. It gets pretty straightforward. The team gets on the train and gets attacked by ghosts, and it sets off a sequence that represents what I suspect sets the syndicated episodes apart from the ABC episodes. Pacing. Let me explain what I mean. After the attack, the episode goes into a minute-long action sequence of a possessed ghost train running off the rails, jumping between subway stations, and charging into the underworld. At a glance, this looks really cool, but it reuses a lot of animation in the same sequence, or holds for long period of times on very short animation loops. Again, it looks great, but it's also pretty obviously stalling for time, padding out the episode with visually interesting but affordable animation tricks. And like I said, I kind of think the sequence sets the tone for these syndicated episodes. It really seems like a budgetary choice. The whole story here is lighter on exposition and detail, and the dialogue between the characters has a lot more pauses and wasted words. That doesn't mean there aren't plenty of fun moments or jokes. For instance, when the storyline picks up again, Winston trips over this ancient tablet in the subway.
Oops. It's Sumerian.
Can you read Sumerian?
In my sleep. Underwater and with the lights off. Of course I can read Sumerian.
But can you really, Egon? Because Sumerian doesn't look like that. It looks like this. There's also some fun moments with Ray, who's trying to explain how the possession in this episode is working, saying that the ghost energy is sort of like leaving old socks in a closet. It makes everything else smell bad too.
Unless we do something to stop it, the whole world will soon smell just like your socks.
Anyway, the Ghostbusters discover these caverns that kind of go deep under the subway tunnel into this underworld. And as they get deeper and deeper, they sort of get a glimpse at what was supposed to replace our reality after the end of the world. It's all pretty standard looking stuff, but it still looks cool. Dark caves, eyes on pillars, and damned rowers perpetually floating down what looks like the river Styx.
Did you just see what I just saw?
No.
Me neither.
It's actually a lot of fun, and there are some great filler asides, like possessed trains coming to life as demonic caterpillar things. But not a lot happens in this episode. It feels like there's a lot of walking around, but not a lot of story development or mystery. There's lots of cool imagery, but the story is just kind of handed to them. Wait, what's that?
It is the place of lost souls. All new spirits must pass through there.
But we're not dead.
Nobody's perfect.
Man, that's one creepy tree. But at least it's polite.
Have a nice day!
Despite the light story, the climax is really awesome. It's the team facing up against a god-level event, pushing their way past the energies pouring out of a magic doorway. It's just a shame the lead-up to this situation was so light on detail. All we know is that they need to seal the portal and that the stakes are high. If they can't close the door, it's the end of everything, and that's terrible, because Ray has season tickets to the Mets!
And they say it's gonna be their best season yet!
Again, these visuals are great, but what happens at the end of this episode just isn't clear. They shoot the glowing orb, and this somehow reverses the polarity of their capture beams and serves as a giant ghost trap, sucking all the poltergeists back into the doorway, and then it closes and warns them once again, do not open until doomsday. And then I guess they just leave it there and hope city workers don't open it again? It's really not clear. Don't get me wrong, Knock Knock isn't a bad episode by any stretch, but it does feel a lot more shallow than the stories we saw in the first ABC season. Narratively, not much happens. It's a simple bare-bones plot with huge stakes, and feels a lot like a pilot episode written before the writers found their legs. But we know they already did with some of the great episodes in the ABC season. Outside of some fantastic sequences, the animation quality seems a little worse too. Again, it's probably just a consequence of producing daily syndicated episodes instead of a weekly network show, but I still noticed it. With all the great imagery and fun gags, it's easy to see why this episode is a fan favorite, but it's also easy to see the dip in quality that awaits us in the episodes ahead. If nothing else, Knock Knock has tempered my expectations as for what's coming in the syndicated episodes. If this really is one of the best episodes in the syndicated series, then I'm a little worried about what the bad episodes ahead are going to look like. Either way, it's a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to seeing what comes next. I guess that's it for now. Cheers!
I think they like us. I don't know. It could be a trap. It could be a trap.
Could be a trap.